independent television AIT in these countries. My colleague Shola Jaisimi has been the one anchoring all our programs while we're live from our studios here in Abuja. And we have brought you reports of all the situation in these countries and how they have affected especially Nigerians in those countries, from the theater of wars and theaters of operation in Ukraine, in Poland and in Hungary. As the Russian shelling and bombardment of Ukraine continue unabated, more than 3 million people, including Nigerians schooling and working in Ukraine, have fled the country. Poland and Hungary have received more refugees since the start of the war. Most of the Nigerian students evacuated used either Poland or Hungary as evacuation points. The Nigerian government has been praised for the interventions that brought home Nigerians affected by the war. In the midst of the challenges surrounding leaving Ukraine and crossing the border into either Poland or Ukraine, there are people who have been there helping and supporting. Those fleeing the war have to contend with either entering into these countries where they did not know anyone, countries where they did not have anyone to support them, where they are complete strangers. For many Nigerian students and families that they do not have in Ukraine or in Hungary or in any of these areas, the Nigerian community in Hungary and the Nigerian embassy in the country had made provisions to welcome some of the students entering their country as a first reprieve from the trauma of the war. Both governmental and non-governmental organizations were there to provide free accommodation, hot meal and necessary support. Indeed, life would have been more traumatizing for those fleeing the war without these humanitarian assistance provided by individuals like Chioma Ezogidi, the executive director of Ngbemila Agency and Services in Hungary, and many Nigerians in Hungary and in Poland. I met Chioma in Budapest and she invited me to Debrecen, where we visited the University of Debrecen, a top-class Hungarian university that offers that has offered university admission to several Nigerian students that fled Ukraine into Hungary. Many of them were admitted strictly on compassionate grounds facilitated by Chioma and our organization. Chioma joins us from Debrecen in Hungary with two of the Nigerian students in Debrecen that she has assisted, giving us more details of the role of humanitarian organizations and Nigerians in these countries they've played in helping Nigerians that are fleeing the war in Ukraine settle down and feel at home. We'll come back after this break. Don't go away. The world has become more connected than ever before. Every continent, color, race, language, and religion, even government, move towards common goals. We now live in a global village. Here on this program, we'll bring you global issues to shape our world.
Government can do a lot with tax revenues collected for health and education.
The role of the European Union is to accompany a partner, that is Nigeria, in offering our lessons learned to see whether together we can improve that situation.
The emphasis on education, on vocational training, on the development of entrepreneurship is absolutely critical to its democracy.
The Nigerian government, we would ask them to follow up the investigations that we have had, the evidence that we have gathered, and ultimately we made a number of recommendations.
As we travel the world, we explore these issues of international and diplomatic relevance. Indeed, the global agenda that determine our national and common interests. With me, Tunde Alabi, live on AIT. The world has become more connected than ever before. Every continent, color, race, language, and religion, even government, move towards common goals. We now live in a global village. Here on this program, we'll bring you global issues to shape our world.
Government can do a lot with tax revenues collected for health and education.
The role of the European Union is to accompany a partner, that is Nigeria, in offering our lessons learned to see whether together we can improve that situation.
The emphasis on education, on vocational training, on the development of entrepreneurship is absolutely critical to its democracy.
The Nigerian government, we would ask them to follow up the investigations that we have had, the evidence that we have gathered, and ultimately we made a number of recommendations.
As we travel the world, we explore these issues of international and diplomatic events. Indeed, the global agenda that determine our national and common interests. With me, Tunde Alabi, live on AIT. All right, thank you for still waiting there to join us on the program. As I said in my intro, we went to Hungary and we met many Nigerians that provided some form of succor for those Nigerians that were fleeing the war in Ukraine, those crossing the Polish border, or those crossing the Hungarian border. Here was this very particular lady who has helped so many Nigerians. First, admitted them into her house, and secondly, used a connection to have them gain admissions into one of the topmost university in Hungary, strictly on compassionate ground. Chioma Eziogidi. Chioma, thank you for taking the time to join us on the program. Good afternoon, Chioma.
Good day, everyone.
Hi, Chioma. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
All right, and also we have Chidera. Chidera is one of those students that have been assisted to studying in Ukraine, but now she's in Hungary, and she's now studying in Debrecen University. Chidera, thank you for joining us on the program today. And also we have Adefemi Oluwaseun, who was also a student in Ukraine, affected by the war, and has now moved to Hungary. Adefemi, thank you for taking the time to join us. Chioma, let me come to you. Tell us, what is the situation now in Hungary? Do we still have people crossing the Ukrainian border to Hungary? If that is the case, what help are you still rendering, or other Nigerians, or the Nigerian embassy in Hungary? Give us updates of what is going on in Hungary at the moment.
Basically, the people coming from Ukraine they are still coming, but it's reduced, and every people here are trying to help in one way or the other to help people settle through Airbnb, through hostel accommodation, maybe schools and church services, and all, even Nigerian embassy. As well, Chioma have been helping people to as well house people, like especially people that don't have a place to stay. So that's it.
I suppose this is Chidera. Chidera, but the question was actually meant for Chioma. But Chidera, let me stay on you, Chidera. You were a student in Ukraine. Tell us, what was your experience before you moved to Hungary, and how did Chioma come to help you find another school that you are in Hungary at the moment? So tell us your experience from Ukraine to Hungary and to Debrecen.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My journey from Ukraine to Hungary was not very easy at all. It was very stressful, but at the end, we thank God. There were different obstacles, but Miss Chioma helped me in a very tight time. She helped me very well. I was really happy when she helped me because it was not easy at all. I didn't have anywhere to stay. So she brought me in. I stayed in her house. Then she got me an apartment where I'm staying now. And currently, I've started schooling in the University of Debrecen with her help. Thank God. It was not easy, but we thank God and we thank Ms. Chioma so much.
Chidera, what level were you in Ukraine before the war started, and what were you studying?
I was in my first year in Ukraine. I was studying economics.
You were studying economics. Okay, all right. Let me go to Adefemi. Adefemi, you spoke to us earlier on how some of the challenges you feel. Adefemi, tell us share with us your experience crossing from Ukraine to Hungary and finally to Debrecen, where Chioma was able to help you find a school. Talk us through those experiences.
I was one of the most troubled region in Ukraine, Sumy, to be specific. I'm a medical student, and I transferred from Nigeria having fulfilled my BSc bachelor degree. So I transferred there, and it was hard because there was no road, like a route to leave Sumi to the next neighboring city, Poltava, whereby I could get a train to the borders. So we stayed mainly in the bunkers, and there were airstrikes, they were bombing. We could feel it from our hostels. The time we ran out of water, we ran out of internet, but we thank God that we are safe. So we paid a whole lot of money to get out of Sumi, firstly, and through bushes, like it wasn't funny, but we thank God we got to Poltava. From Poltava we took cabs, because the Ukrainians were more of not allowed people entering the train because it was excessively full. So we had to go through the road, and we spent like 4 or 5 days before we got to Chop. That's the Hungarian border at Zahoni, where I got myself to Budapest, and luckily I found Mrs. Choma, who helped me get admission to Debrecen.
All right, so when we saw the Save Our Soul video, oh my God, Adifemi is gone. Okay, all right, hopefully he will be back. Choma, let's come back to you, Choma. I mean, both Chidera and Adifemi, they've narrated their experience and how you have been of some assistance. Choma, my question to you, what inspired you into receiving these students into your house, into going all the way out and discussing their further education with the University of Debrecen, where many of them have been admitted on strictly on compassionate ground? What gave you that inspiration?
First of all, I'm not just a woman, but I am a mother. I'm a mother of 3 children. I run an agency company, which is registered here in Hungary. So this has always been my line of business, but in this situation, I didn't see it as business. Rather, I took it as a humanitarian work. Seeing the problem on ground and everything they have been through, I was moved to help, considering that at that moment people need help, and the trauma on them was too much that I was left with no choice than to help. I was able to accommodate a whole number of students at the moment. At the time they were fleeing in, because that first week, I remember there were so many of them coming into Hungary, and they didn't have anywhere to stay. So because I live in a large apartment flat, so I was able to accommodate them, feed them, and I wanted them to be comfortable. So it was when they were fully settled that I began to negotiate with some universities in Hungary to see what we could do to help these students. Firstly, I discussed with the director of the University of Debrecen, and he was able to come to town with me, and they offered to admit students as a guest study or at the foundation, because we only have one take in a year, and the fee. Because I also discussed the fee with him. I told him that, see, these students, they are stranded, they don't really have enough money. We have to do all we have to do to minimize the cost for them. And really, I remember the cost for foundation here in Debrecen is going for $5,500. With application and entrance fee is $6,000. But the director was so nice to bring down the fee to $2,200 for them, for the students from Ukraine, and then he also ruled out the application fees. I also went further to discuss with other universities in Hungary, and University of Szeged. I also partner with them. I represent the schools I want. University of Kesh, Selmewes, and so many other universities. And especially for medical, because we have a whole lot of medical students. And due to the fact that most of them just didn't come with their transcripts, and it was actually difficult for these universities to, accept them fully without a transcript of record, because at least they need to see what they have done so far. But they were also so nice to, try to admit them as well as the guest students, and they waived the application fees and entrance exams fee for the students, and then also admitted them to study this semester as a guest study without the fee. So this is also something that I was really happy for. as we speak, some of the students have resumed their studies. The ones in Debrecen, they resumed their studies last Monday, and other schools have also started have also resumed studies for students. And we are hopeful that before September, when we have normal intake, that these students will be able to obtain their transcripts and they will be able to join the studies successfully.
All right, Choma. I see. Are those your daughters that are just trying to come around you there?
Yeah, so sorry. They just got back from school now. Sorry, I didn't know they would come so early.
But that's fair. That's fair. But that's fair, Choma. How did they feel when they see many of these strangers in their house, in their mommy's bedroom, in their mommy's sitting room? When they see like 50, 60 strangers around them, how did they feel?
Okay, so initially I prepared their mind. I spoke to my big daughter. She's 10 years old. I said, do you know what's happening in Ukraine? She said, yes. I said, how did you know? She said they told them in school that there's a war in Ukraine. I said, okay, I hope you don't mind that we're going to be accommodating a good number of students. But she was like, of course, no problem, Mom, it's fine. So I remember when they were coming in, and I remember the first day, second day, first, you wouldn't even see where to put your leg. Even in my batch, people were sleeping everywhere. More than 50 people slept at my house on that first week, you know. So they were so accommodating, they were playful, and they were all having fun with them, and I was happy. At least I was able to put smiles on these students' faces.
Choma, I cannot just stop laughing when seeing them all around you. If you don't mind, can I just ask the eldest, if you don't mind, can I just, because I just see them all around you, can I just ask the eldest?
Yes, sure.
What did you say her name is? What did you say her name is? What did you say her name is?
Sure.
All right. Right. So, good evening. When mommy had all these strangers at home, having all these students around you, how did you feel seeing so many people in your house?
I did on live Zoom.
How did you feel seeing so many people in your house when mommy had all these students in your house? So many of them. How did you feel? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm afraid that I'm not sure she's able to hear me. Choma, all right, let me, all right, Choma, I'm afraid she's not able to hear me. All right, let me go to Adefemi. Adefemi, let me quickly come to
Sorry,
you.
I think,
as it is now, the admission you have with Debrecen, if Choma had not got you that admission, what would have happened to your initial stay in Hungary? How many days were you given when you first entered Hungary? And how much of those leave given to you would have expired if not for the admission given to you by Debrecen University? Adefemi.
They gave us apparently 30 days. Stay residence permit, a temporary one. So, per adventure, we had not gotten admission, and we would have to leave the Republic of Hungary before 30 days, and we'll be in Nigeria by now, having to start afresh, or looking for one way or the other to continue, or look for how to get that transcript over and start in under school.
Hello, Adefemi.
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, all right. So, if not for that admission, but what about many of your colleagues that actually came back to Nigeria with the evacuation flight? What is the situation with them now? Do you hear from them? Would there be any hope for them returning to either Hungary or Poland or to Ukraine?
Most people that I know that travel back to Nigeria are hopeful that the war would be called would be off soon, and maybe they'll go back. But most people are having online classes, which aren't more of like a practical to me, and doesn't make sense because of the war. So people are just being optimistic and being positive that okay, the war will be called off soon, and other people are trying to look for ways to go back to Nigerian universities or get universities outside the country. As well, processed through Ms. Chioma, universities at Hungary. So I get University of Debrecen, West University, and I had the one she's doing at Pech.
All right. Let me go back to Chioma. Chioma, as it is at the moment, those students that are back in Nigeria, that came back to Nigeria with evacuation flight, those students, many of them in their final year, fourth year, fifth year, is there any way your organization or yourself can be of assistance to them to either get back to a university, either in Poland or in Hungary? Chioma?
Yes, so what we are actually at the moment, some of them, the problem with some of them is that Hungarian universities like medical schools are quite high, and this is due to the EAT standard. You know, so some, because I discussed with some parents, I tried to find out budget, because we have to start from the budget first. And when I mentioned the tuition fees for Hungarian universities, some of them were like, this is like what of what they pay in Ukraine. I can understand them. But nevertheless, I also try to negotiate with some other schools like Romania, because their fee is also similar to that of Ukraine. And they are willing to accept these students, and even without transcripts, they're also willing to accept them for now, but not like a full-time student, because like I said, they need a transcript to be able to see the courses they have successfully completed after that. So they're also willing to accept these students. I have some deal with some few universities in Romania, and this is actually good news I brought to the public today. And I have a link to some good schools in Romania who are willing to accept these students. The ones with transcript will be fully accepted, and the ones without the transcripts can also be accepted, but not as a full-time student until they are able to provide the transcripts.
All right, Chioma, thank you. All right, Chioma, thank you so much. Chidera, I'm afraid this is how far I can go. I would have loved to find out from you how many months still do you have left on your paper when you were entering Hungary. Quickly, you want to tell us in 1 minute, how many months were you given when you entered Hungary? How many days do you have left? What is the hope of you renewing your papers, although you are now schooling in Hungary? In 1 minute, can you quickly answer that? Chidera. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry. I was given 30 days, and apparently 21 days had already expired before I found this Chioma. So now that I am in a school, I'm going to visit the immigration on Monday to extend my permit here to stay longer, to August probably, or July, I don't know yet.
But let me put your last question.
Can I come in here?
Yes,
so
quickly,
this is also one
Chioma.
of the services we're offering to the students. Because to go to immigration is not easy as well. They're impose a requirement the students to basically all the students that have come across, I've sent them the requirement of this. And
okay.
Everything
okay, Chioma, thank you so much. I'm afraid this is how far I can go on the program today. Thank you, Chioma, for your time on the program and for everything you've done for those fleeing the war in Ukraine, and they have come under your roof and you have assisted them to find another university in Hungary. Thank you, Chioma. And also, Chidera Adefemi, wish you best of luck as you continue your new life and education in Hungary. This is how far we can go today. We have listened to the experience of some of the students that fled Ukraine are now finding a new home in Hungary and a new life through the assistance of so many Nigerians, Nigerians like Chioma, who are helping them to find a new home and a new life. Thank you so much. This is how far we can go on the program. It's good to be good. Let's extend some goodness to people around us. My name is Tunde Alabi. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
History of Nigerian presidents and heads of state from 1960 to 2023. Fellow Nigerians, my name is Dr. Pedro Obaseki. A little while ago, I did a video on the arithmetic of